A lot of people want to start an online business, either to earn some extra income or in hopes of quitting their 9 to 5 for a lifestyle business of freedom and flexibility. But one of the hardest steps is getting your first customer. And the truth is, there's actually a simple process you can follow that doesn't involve sleazy sales tricks. You can get customers in a very natural and authentic way to begin building your business.
All right, so real quick, that's Mike. I'm Maddie. We founded Cajun Koi, where we help creators achieve freedom by building an online education business. And we're going to show you, if we had to start over from scratch with no business, no nothing, a step-by-step way of how we would think about getting our first customers. So getting your first customer, it does sound pretty scary, right? Especially like if you've never done any sales or marketing before at all. But the way that we think about it is a very simple 3-step process, which you can repeat for any type of customer, any type of business that you want or have. So the first step is making contact, because in order to get a customer, you have to talk to them. So make contact with a potential customer. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is build a connection with that contact. You want to build some rapport. And then step 3 is you want to go for the close, sell them on your service.
I like it. Always going with the C's. Too many C's in our brand here.
I know. I try to add like the verb before, like make contact, build a connection, go for the close, to make it more actionable. We just love C's.
If you're in Study Quest, then you already know there's like 3 sets of 3 C's there. But yeah, okay, let's dive into each one of these.
I don't know, something about C's. For some reason, C's are just easy to create.
Yeah, C's is just a letter. Like I've looked through the thesaurus. It is just the most abundant letter for frameworks. Let's move to the first one, and we'll talk about making contact.
Yeah, making contact. So if you are new to business, right, you need to attract a customer or get a customer, you have to make contact with people. And if you don't have a following, which we're going to assume probably that if you're starting, you don't have a big following, the way I like to think about making contact is actually using part of Alex Hermosi's $100 million leads framework. I think he did a good job of like segmenting the different types of people, different types of ways that you can make contact with someone. There are 4 different ways to make contact. He calls them cold outreach, warm outreach, cold one-to-many, and then warm one-to-many. So I'll just describe them as you're writing them down. Cold outreach, as I just kind of briefly touched on, is you want to make contact with complete strangers, right? That's why it's called cold outreach. You're reaching out to strangers. Warm outreach means you're reaching out to people that you already know. So people who might be already in your network, your friends on social media, your family members, your coworkers, stuff like that. And then for 3 and 4 here, cold one-to-many and then warm one-to-many, you're just doing the same thing, but instead of like a one-to-one reach out, you're just doing it at scale. And we'll go through examples of what each of those look like. And so I think it might be useful as we go through this.
All right, I just wanted to clarify, because like there's a lot of jargon going on here for people who might not know. I think you already explained it real quick, but like cold means they're a complete stranger, right? And warm means they're not a stranger?
Yes. Cold means they're a stranger. Warm means they're somewhat in your network, either friends, family friends, family, coworkers, or someone in your network. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So like they know you, so they're a stranger versus they know you and they trust you, or they know, like, and trust you. So this is cold.
Know you, not trust, but they know you. I think we can start.
So like that. Cold and then warm.
They know you, or you know of each other.
Just outreach is like you are actively going out there and getting their attention, whereas one-to-many, all of it is outreach.
Well, all of making contact. All of making contact is outreach. Yeah.
Because there's like inbound.
Yeah. So the top
but I
2
guess
is doing it on a one-to-one style.
One-to-one.
So one-to-one, meaning any direct kind of communication you can have. So like a chat, so an email or a DM on social media or a phone call, or some way that you have a meeting in person. That's like a one-to-one situation. And then one-to-many would be social media content. You can post an ad, you can run an ad campaign, you can post flyers, you can do group interviews, community calls, stuff like that.
Okay. It's kind of like a matrix here.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do cold, one-to-one, one-to-many, warm, one-to-one, one-to-many. And then you said cold is or one-to-one is like DMs, like, so that's what you said. And then one-to-many is like using content or like speaking to many people at the same time, like an audience.
I think a good way for us to explain this CCC framework that we have is to use an example. I think examples are always are always good to make things a bit more clear. And so why don't we, as we go through these C's, since we're starting from scratch, we would put ourselves into the shoes of someone who's starting to build their business and how they would land us as one of their potential customers, right? So you are this business person and you want to land Mike and Maddie as your customer, and how can you do that using all 4 of these strategies here?
You are Joe and you're trying to get customers, your first customer. What does he need to do?
The reason we know these work is not only have we tried these as well, but people have used these on us in very many different ways. That was like one of the coolest things about going through Hermosi's book is like, oh, like I just realized like all the little tricks and things that people have been using to get our attention, or we've been using to get other people's attention. So if we were Joe, let's say what kind of service we want to say Joe is looking to provide to start his business.
Let's say that Joe is a video editor and Joe wants to edit videos for us.
Okay, sweet. So let's start with one-to-one cold. What he could do is send us a DM on social medias, or he can send us an email. Or if he can somehow finagle one of our phone numbers through some sketchy service, he can also give us a call. But that is what doing a cold outreach would be. Like, we're not in his network. So it would be like, if you ever open up Instagram, you'll have like message requests, you know, it's like people who are not your friends already, you get message requests. Or if an email, obviously emails, you just get emails from strangers. They land in your inbox. And so the thing about cold contact is we get, I mean, as you know, as business owners ourselves, we get spammed with so much cold outreach on a day-to-day basis. We probably get like 10 to 15 like people trying to sell us on brand deals or services in general. So what would you say that Joe would need to do to stand out from that crowd?
I mean, just speaking from like our email inbox alone, we get flooded with requests to work with us. And I would say that we probably respond to like less than 5% of these requests. But I'll tell you what, like the ones that do get a response from us are the ones that they've done very specific things that show us that, hey, this guy's done their homework. Like Joe has done his homework, so maybe I'm interested. So one of those things is like he's actually checked out some of our content. He actually knows what we do, right? So one example of this is like I do see a lot of emails on a daily basis saying like, hey, we love your YouTube channel. Do you have a newsletter? Like if you don't have a newsletter, then I can get you to like I can grow your newsletter really fast and we can start making money. Blah 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 blah. It's like, dude, if you just dug a little bit, you took 1 minute to just check. We do have a newsletter. Like that immediately was like, dude, this guy didn't do any of his homework. We've been growing our newsletter for like a year or over a year now.
Yeah.
So that's just like something really easy is like take a little bit of time to prepare and it goes a long way. So that's one, that's like probably the first ticket to entry. I think another thing that is very important is that if someone reaches out to us and in my head, I have to ask, okay, show me a sample of your work. Like, show me that you can actually do this. Like, if I have to even think about that, then I would probably be like skipping and going next. Like, I'm not going to waste my time asking them that. You can shorten the conversation and jump straight to the point if you already come presenting your own work. A very easy way to do that, like say like if you're trying to edit videos for us, for Mike and Maddie or for Cajun Core or whatever, then come with an email with already pre-edited content to show us that, hey, this is literally what I can do for you. And we can make our assessment from there. But if you come with nothing, we're probably not going to answer. So those are two things you can do very easily.
To go even a step further with that, like showing your proof of work, I think this is something that we've found really, really valuable. Like at least when I see these message requests and stuff, is you want to make whatever you're showing very specific to that person. Again, this comes with doing your homework. So for us, like if Joe wanted to sell us as a client, I would have a portfolio of work, like you said, to show that he has edited videos before, maybe from like other clients or just work that he's done and he's proud of himself, that would also be close to what we want for ourselves. And to go even a step further and like really provide value, what Joe could do is, since it's like easy to download videos from YouTube, he could also like just edit a video for us pro bono for free. Actually, that's what a lot of people do. They're like, especially if he's like trying to be a shorts editor, you can just grab one of their existing YouTube videos, create like a repurposed short from it and say, hey, like, this is what I can do for you. And I've already went ahead and done a few. If you like them, we can hop on a call and then we can talk about how we can work together further. So just already showing straight up like that he can do the work that we might want. And again, just going a step further with like, this is why it's going to help you.
The funny thing is there have been people who have sent us emails and they've sent us like videos that they've edited for like really big name people. And I was like, dang, did Joe really work for like Mark Zuckerberg, or did Joe really work for like whoever, like famous person? And it turns out that he didn't. He just took that person's content and edited it. Maybe he reached out to that person, but the point is like he kind of associated himself with that brand. So like a little tip here is that if you want, you should start trying to reach out to people like who are way above your caliber if you're really talented. And if you start editing stuff for them, then now you start building up a whole library of all this content that you have. Even if you don't get to work with them, you have a library of all this content where you've edited high level celebrity stuff, then you can use to brand associate yourself, so that eventually you're gonna come at somebody with an email full of like great content, and it'll help. I think it'll snowball eventually.
Yeah, you're talking about like kind of building up your pitch deck. You know, you want to have like proof of work or like stuff that you can showcase for, and then you can just reuse that to the next person you pitch to as well. Super important. So that's pretty much the strategy I would use for cold outreach. Obviously, just like to sum it up, come delivering value, do some work beforehand to make it seem like they're a good fit. You guys are a good fit. And then also like explaining the benefit of what you can provide to them as a person. Now, these strategies for the cold one is actually exactly the same as warm one-to-one. The benefit of warm one-to-one is that you probably already know of each other. So it just makes that awkward phase at the beginning a little less awkward because you might already be friends and or acquaintances with each other. Now, if it's like a secondary connection in your warm outreach, like your friend of a friend, then something that's like super powerful that you can do is reach out to the friend that you're closer to and then just start like a three-way intro or like a three-way conversation or like ask for an introduction. And so you have like another shoe-in, a buy-in with someone else. This is like an idea called basically referrals. What businesses do. It's like, hey, if you refer a friend, that person already trusts your friend, right? They trust your friend and your friend is recommending them, then they're more likely to be willing to trust you. So asking for an introduction or some kind of like intro, three-way, four-way, whatever it is, like however many people are included in that, is just another push you can use when they're trust over. But I would actually go with the exact same strategy of starting off with value, doing your homework, and figuring out why it makes sense for you to speak to them as a potential client.
So yeah, still wanted to show your portfolio, still like being very specific with your value.
One of the biggest ways that we've done outreach, like a one-to-one, is when we tried to, I don't know if we can mention names, but we really wanted to work with this specific sponsor. We wanted to do a brand deal with this one sponsor. And we went above and beyond. We made like a custom video just to them to show like our editing skills. And then we also like basically did our homework in like how we could provide value, what it could look like, and then came up with an offer for them. And then we sent them the video. And they loved the video so much. And that was like how we scored one of our biggest brand deals to date. That's basically the method that we did to land that client. Making contact for one-to-many now, there are a couple different options you have as well. So for making contact from a one-to-many cold standpoint, you could run paid ads. That's one thing. If you like you can run a paid ad to a service. You can put your job posting on like a recruitment website, or you can use a third-party app like Upwork or Fiverr or YouTube Jobs, and basically just put your job listing. And again, you want to do all the best practices here of really showcasing what kind of value you can provide and giving as much examples and portfolio of work as you can so that someone would be interested or curious enough to also respond to that post.
Yeah, I think one thing you definitely want to include in your job posting is, in addition to your portfolio, is your ability to happy customers, testimonials. If you put yourself on like the Fiverr or Upwork websites, then you definitely want to get like a lot of 5-star reviews or whatever they measure with.
Yeah, because I mean, the reason this is good is because a lot of businesses, a lot of companies, a lot of people are always looking for help. And I would say safely, I mean, you can probably back me up here, that as a business owner, one of the most difficult and tedious and soul-sucking things to do is to hire and find good people to work with. And so I guarantee you that people are looking for good workers and they are scouring recruitment websites or job postings and stuff like that. And so if you can stand out that way, it's a good way to get some attention. And then the last one in this list would be doing a warm one-to-many contact. And that is posting content on your social media or in some community that you're involved in, like if you're in a Discord community or something. You're basically just making another ad, basically, but you're posting it to people who might know you already, like a Facebook group or a community group or on your social media?
I would say that if you wanted to improve your chances of success on the cold one-to-many, then you should also do content as well. Because when a person has no idea who you are, but they because this has happened to me a lot of times. I don't know who this person is, but I go and I look them up on like YouTube, or like I go and I try to find like their social media, and then I'll start to consume their content. And like just spending some time watching someone's video, like seeing the way they talk, seeing the way they carry themselves, seeing how confident they are, how much conviction they have in their mission and all the things that they do. That right there, that content is helping to sell them. So if you're trying to get yourself onto job posting websites like Fiverr or Upwork, and you have like a library of your own content on social media, then that content is really helpful for you to get success. So it's probably like, I would recommend almost all the time, like you should go for, if you're doing one-to-many, you should go for content for both cold and warm.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that point you just mentioned about people getting like an inside look about who you are, what you believe in, all those things, that ties very nicely into step 2 of this framework, which is building a connection with this potential customer, the potential contact that you've reached out to. We're social creatures, people love following people. We love learning from people. And connection is all about how can you convey that you are just a likable, normal, socially aware human that has a passion for solving this problem, and that you are the right person to solve their problem, right? You don't have to make it too complicated, I guess. It's just being yourself, being authentic with it, and showcasing your value and all those things you just said.
To add to your point there, one of the things that a lot of people think about when they're starting to find their first customers is, what if my niche is too saturated, right? Like, what if what I'm trying to do is too saturated and there's like so much competition and I am not able to stand out and get my customers? And it's basically what you said. It's all about connection. There's probably thousands of people out there who teach you how to grow a YouTube channel or teach you how to grow your business. And it all comes down to which one of those thousands of people connect with you the best. So maybe some of them are from the same country as you. Maybe some of them had the same upbringing as you. Maybe some of them have maybe they just love anime and video games, and you connect most with that person. So it's all about connection, not don't worry too much about saturation. Saturation just means that there's proven concept in this field and that people are making money from it. So it's a proven path, but focusing more on connection is how you will land your first customers.
Yeah, totally. This definitely lines up with another episode we did before about becoming a 3-dimensional creator, where if you think about, all of us are just different puzzle pieces, and your goal is to just be a puzzle piece that fits nicer and more completely with someone else. And so there's millions of puzzle pieces in the world, right? Billions even. And so not everyone can fit into everyone's piece. You're just trying to build a connection with a certain group of people. So that's really what connection comes down to. If you don't have an audience, if you don't post content, it's probably a good idea to start doing that just so people can get more touch points with you. They can see your face around more. And what we know from psychology, familiarity leads to trust and leads to likableness, right? If you see someone's face more often, you're more likely to think they're attractive. You're more likely to trust them. Same thing with content. I forget what the exact numbers are. I think you might know that one study, but the more touch points you can get with someone, the more likely they are to become a customer, right?
I know it's called 7-11-4. I know it's attributed to Google. It might have been their study or something. But basically, they found that people usually take about 7 hours to research something before they buy, that's a lot of time to research. But then when I'm thinking about it, I think we just made a big purchase today. And we probably spent about 7 hours going back and forth about it, just thinking, oh man, is this the right decision, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, people spend a lot of time thinking about it. And then the next one is 11 touch points. So that's 11 different pieces of content, maybe. That's 11 different ads, mix and match, however you want to think about it. And then across 4 different locations. So it could be social media. It could be direct in person. It could be maybe you found a book in the bookstore with them on it, on the radio, however you want to think about it. 7 hours, 11 touch points, and 4 different locations is that statistic, or that study that you're referring to. But yeah, it's just basically at the end of the day, it's like
That's like the gold standard
it's like
for building trust.
average. So like just thinking about those numbers, you need a lot of exposure. Like how would you act on this study? Basically, you just need a lot of exposure, and don't expect people to buy immediately. Like on the very first day they discover who you are. You have to be consistent and always be out there.
So yeah, the moral of that study is just make a whole bunch
Yeah.
of contact to build the connection.
Constantly be out there with your public portfolio.
Sweet. Yeah. So that's pretty much connection. It might take, like you said, 11 touch points. Who knows how long that is? If you're in someone's DM, it's probably easier to reach those 11 touch points by having a conversation with them than it would be if like they're just seeing your content on social media. They might just scan past it, and it might take a while for them to see your face 11 times if they don't follow you on social media. So yeah, just try to diversify the kind of contact you do. Get really good at one of those contacts though, and like, diversify the options you have. But yeah, go ahead and build a connection that way. So now that you've started to build a connection, build some rapport with this contact, the last step is to go for the close. Now, going for the close is probably a very scary idea. This is pretty much saying you're trying to make a sale here. Sales, especially for people who were not in any kind of marketing like us, like as doctors, it was like being a salesperson sounds pretty scary. It's like, dang, I have to be a salesperson. It has such a bad connotation around it in general. But I think it's important to like kind of flip the idea of what it means to be a salesperson, right? I think that could help a lot in terms of making closing seem like a beneficial win-win for both parties.
Yeah, for those people who don't know what it means, like what is closing? How would you define that?
Yeah, closing is making a sale. It's closing a deal.
Just that sounds itself like scary. Like I remember the very first time I learned about like what that word or like, what that even meant. I was like a kid. I was like watching Wolf of Wall Street or something. You remember that movie? What was his name? Leonardo DiCaprio was like on the phone, like closing people and like using all these sleazy tactics. And he's like surrounded by all his like Wall Street bros. It's like, dang, that is the image of closing to me. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like a lot of people grow up with this negative connotation of what it means to close people or what it means to get on a sales call. But there's a process where you can do it to make it feel just authentic and that you're actually genuinely trying to help people. So how would you do it?
I think like it is a lot of perception. Like you said, people think of car salesmen, they think of Wolf of Wall Street when they think of sales, but you just have to kind of step back and realize that any service job in the world is a sale. Like any exchange of goods, any exchange of information, any exchange of value at all is a sale. Even as a doctor, although we didn't get paid like, per patient in the ER or something. When a patient comes in and they have a problem and they go with your recommendation, you are selling them on the treatment plan. You are selling them as this is the solution to do. Whether you think of it like in a good or bad context, like making a sale is just getting someone to trust your recommendation. And you as the salesperson, like it's up to you to decide whether you're going to use that power for good or for bad. So hopefully, I know if you're following us in this community of innovators, it's always for the benefit of the people and benefit of good. But just know that sales can be a double-edged sword in terms of who abuses that power. So I guess for close, we can kind of go back to Joe for our example here. Let's just run through the one-to-one options or the one-to-many options that Joe would have to close a sale or to close a connection.
How should Joe do this?
Yeah, so if you're doing it in a one-to-one situation, if you're like new to sales and you don't feel comfortable like asking the person directly for a sale, I also really like, this comes from Alex Hermosi again, one of his ways of getting a sale, which makes it seem less like in your face salesy, is asking the person for a referral as opposed to asking them directly. So the way that Alex says it is like, if you are having this one-on-one with someone, you're like, oh, so this is the service that I'm trying to provide. Do you know anyone who would be interested in this service here? And so you're not asking them directly and you're asking them for a recommendation. And if they are a person who's also interested in that, they might be like, oh, it's me. I'm actually interested in it. And so like you kind of just avoided that that awkwardness altogether. Another way to like decrease the way of it feeling salesy, and I think this is also a really, really great strategy, especially if you're new to this, is to just offer it for free. One, offering something for free is very low risk to the other person. And two, you're just getting to develop your skills a bit better, get some reps in, and hopefully, I guess it's technically free in terms of money, but what you should like request in return for that is a very good testimonial or like very close feedback with you so that you can improve the way that you deliver your service. And so those are like two strategies, I would say, to close if you are a beginner or if like this is your first time getting customers, right? Because when people pay, there's more than one way to pay. You can pay financially, you can pay with your time and effort, people pay with their attention, and people can pay you by helping you improve your product. Obviously, if you can do all those things in one package, it's better, but it can be easier to start off with when you go for free and go for referrals.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like it could be like a deal that's too good to be true, right? Like, hey, I am currently helping people make $10,000 per month, and I can get this result in like a week. Do you know anyone who's interested? And then the person's gonna obviously think like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, that
interested.
sounds amazing.
But yeah, exactly.
I'm
So I
interested.
mean, that probably works for both cold and warm, one-to-one, I'm assuming.
Oh, for sure. It works. I mean, it works for all four. Yeah, it works better, of course, if you have any guarantees, like if you do have testimonials or if you do have proof that you yourself can do it. But if you throw on some kind of guarantee into whatever this offer is, it'll dramatically improve the guarantee. So if you can't guarantee the outcome, another guarantee that like we've been using too, or like we've heard used by a lot of other successful businesses is like, if you don't get to this result, then we'll work with you for free until you get there. So like you're basically committing yourself that you will stick with them until they get that result. And that just shows your commitment to that relationship. Yeah, so those are two great strategies. So let's go back to Joe, for example. Joe, the video editor, he wants to work with Mike and Maddie. What he might say is, hey, I really want to improve my editing skills and then, eventually start an video editing agency or a business or something. Do you know anyone who is looking for video editors right now? I want to get better. I am looking to help 4 or 5, creators, and I'm going to do it for free for the first 5 videos, something like that, right? And if they're not happy with the videos that I make, like my guarantee is that I will re-edit them until they're happy with them. If it sounds like you're doing a lot of free work, you are, but just imagine how good that person's going to feel. And they're just in return, hopefully give you a really good testimonial.
So one way to make it just super low risk for your customer is to just not collect money from them until they've seen the results. So like, I will not get paid until you get paid, and however you want to structure that.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's really important to mention here, it's like, you're not doing this forever. You're just doing this for probably the first few customers that you're trying to build like a portfolio and a network with. And you want to use their testimonials as proof of work about your commitment to like your service so that you can sell other people down the line. So as you get better at it, then maybe instead of saying free, you can charge a price, and you can charge it still low if you want it first. And then over time, just increase your price as you get more reps in, as you get more confidence in it. So you're still earning, it's just not financial at first. What you're earning is the experience and the testimonials and hopefully word of mouth referrals that you did such a good job with them that they refer other people or they tell their friends and stuff like that. So network goes a long way. You just have to start small with one person and eventually it'll grow into a bigger clientele pool.
Yeah, I try to draw that out visually. So like, let's say your very, very first customer right here. Your very first customer you might help for free, but you really want to get like a super good testimonial from this person. This person is just like over the moon happy, super satisfied, they're successful. And you use that testimonial in the next month. Like this is month 1, right? In the next month, you could now start charging a little bit of money. But it should be easier to get 2 people because now you have a testimonial. So that you have like, you have proof in your portfolio that you can do this. And again, you want to get very nitty gritty with these 2 people and make sure that they both win, that they both achieve the transformation, they both give you a stellar testimonial. Now you have 3 really good testimonials and you have a little bit of cash in the bank too. That's always nice. But then in month 3, you do it again. This time you have 3 testimonials. It should be easier to get like a whole bunch of people. And once you start getting a bunch of people, you could potentially start scaling up. You could potentially start doing group calls. One time of your effort and input that is being multiplied into multiple people. You could start off doing group coaching. I know a lot of people do that, but it's just the balance of like, if you start off with one person, then the likelihood of you getting an extremely good testimonial from one person is probably higher than getting an extremely good testimonial from every single one of these people. So like you kind of like weigh like how good are you at this thing that you're doing? Like how strong is your expertise? Like Like how good is your system? But ultimately, when you're starting in the early days, like the first few months, you're really focusing on getting results and the proof. And then like months 4, 5, 6, like as you keep going on, you can start scaling, you can start recording your calls with people, you can start recording these workshops, and you can start to build like a whole library of content. And then you can just have like tons and tons of people come in. Like that's when you start getting more passive and you start blah, blah, all that scale and stuff. But you got to start small. And when you're starting small, sometimes you gotta work for free because you're really going after the proof. Testimonials.
Yeah, I think that was like a big unlock that we had, at least, was like you have to do things for free until you earn the reputation and the right to charge money for it. Like it's a rite of passage. Like even thinking back to like medical school days, I think medicine is a great example of this whole hierarchy of earning and learning and stuff. In medical school, we pay to learn. Yeah. And then it's not until a residency where you start earning a very small amount and doing way more work. And then once you graduate up to an attending level, which is what you are now, then you can start charging a lot. And then you have people who work under you to deliver the care and the services that you want. And so it is a ladder. It's a staircase. And if you don't have the experience or the credentials or the credibility through testimonials, you just got to start there. And I think a lot of young people just hate the idea of working for free. Again, just to reiterate, you're not working for free. You're working for testimonials, feedback, and developing your systems so that you can better serve people in the future. And again, like working with just one person is I would say like one is probably the best to start off with. But the reason why you don't want to work with too many at first is you also don't know if you can handle that many people, right? Like if this is your first business, you have no idea if you're also working like a day job, if you're going to have like the capacity to coach or train 10 people on the side. Like there's no way you're going to get results for any of them. And then none of them are going to leave you a testimonial. So yeah, it's smarter to just start small.
Yeah. I will add though, however, and I put a question mark here, like you don't necessarily have to work for free. And the reason is because if you come from another life, like let's say you're like trying to, be a video editor and you're trying to like get really good results for this person. But in another life before, your 9 to 5 was that you were a video editor and you were a darn good one. And you've already gotten tons of testimonials from your prior life, like you're with the corporation that you're with, then you already have the testimonials there. So like for people who are listening, who are like currently in their 9 to 5 or working some sort of job and you're looking to go off on your own, one of the easiest things that you can do is to just keep track of all the customers that you work with and document that in your resume or your CV and document their transformations. Like even if you served them under like a different banner, like under a corporation or a different organization, it's still you doing the work. So that is legit your testimonial too. And you should definitely take that with you and just make sure you keep a whole notebook, a journal of just documented testimonials.
Totally. Yeah.
So you don't have to start for free. You can potentially start, you can start with your first customer in your business, charging them money because there is proof that you will get them results.
Totally. I'm not saying it has to be free. You're totally welcome to charge money. I just know that there are people who have maybe never had sales experience before. If it's too scary, start with free, start with some guarantees, and just be everything for that one person. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the 3 steps you have to do there. And you just basically rinse and repeat that cycle till the end of time. This is basically how you make a stranger trust you and then buy from you. And then you can just continue looping through this cycle over and over. And eventually your business will grow and you'll get more clients.
And they will not just buy from you, but they will thank you for it.
The way we drew it out, like, the CCC, making contact, building connection, going for close, it is a very simple 3-step process. But very importantly, like simple doesn't mean easy. Because if it was easy, then everyone would have a successful business, right? But I would say like most people don't even get past the contact stage. Like it's pretty impressive what kind of scale you have to do for each of these steps to start your business off the ground, right? Like a lot of people will be like, oh, I contacted like 5 people. No one wanted my service. They're going to give up. But the reality is you're going to have to contact people for like hundreds of people. You might have to post content for months. Like we didn't start like getting attraction and attention to our YouTube channel, which was like the main way that we were contacting people, until like a year in. We had to do that every single week for a year. And so I think one of the biggest problems with starting a business or starting anything like this is realizing that the steps are simple, right? Like doing these 3 steps is a lot simpler than it is to like learn complex, astrophysics or something. but it's just the effort that goes into it is so high that people quit before they get there.
Yeah, I saw this survey or this study some time ago, and so the numbers are probably very different now, but like over 70 or 80% of US citizens want to start or own their own business, but the reality is I think it's like less than 10% are actually doing it. So like people want to do it, but how many people are actually doing it? The only difference is the mindset. Like you're taking action versus you're not taking action. And obviously the number is going to continue growing because a lot of things are moving online, and it's like so easy to start your own business nowadays. So the numbers probably change, but like just the discrepancy there just speaks to like how much this is all mind games, and how much like you just, most of the time it's you standing in your own way and not making it happen because it just feels scary. And I say that because that was me. That was literally me. I still like am struggling, still struggling to take action on certain things because it is scary. But when you do, like if you're able to build your freedom and your flexibility, then you're gonna thank yourself.